What's up, guys? It's Chris. At the end of my last video, I said I had a big MMA video coming up. This is it. I'm going to attempt to cover 4 events. Just touch upon them. I'm not going to do all the fights, obviously, but 4 events that are happening in the next week. This is crazy madness with MMA, including UFC 115 last night. You got 5 events in a week's time. 5 major MMA events, I guess you could say. So without any further ado, let's do this. Got Strikeforce on Wednesday. Why is Strikeforce on Wednesday? I'm not sure. I think they're trying to pick up the normal Ultimate Fighter slot. Since Ultimate Fighter is kind of like just a recap this week, they're trying to fill in that void for the MMA fans. Only going to touch up on two top bouts. Co-main event, or I guess it's co-main event. Marius Romskis against Cyborg Santos, the male guy, not the female, not Christian Evangelista here. I don't know. The only problem with this fight is I don't know what weight he's contested at. I don't. Zoromskis is normally a welterweight, coming off that loss to Nick Diaz for the title, Strikeforce welterweight title. Cyborg normally fights at middleweight. I don't know what weight this is being contested at. I'm just going to say somewhere in the middle. That said, I'll go with Zoromskis. Cyborg always brings it. Both guys like to stand and trade. Cyborg's probably a little more well-rounded on the ground, but I expect a stand-up battle. But Cyborg's got way more mileage, way more damage. And he doesn't have the best cardio, so in a war of attrition, I see Marius Romskis winning this fight by TKO or unanimous decision. Should be a good fight, though. Main event, you got Renato Babalu Sobral against Robbie Lawler, catchweight, 195. Babalu's dropping down from light heavy. Robbie Lawler's moving up from middleweight. Robbie, first fight back since what do you want to call it, miracle from behind against Melvin Manoof, where he was getting his ass kicked, literally, and brought the big right and just killed Manoof. Didn't kill him, but might as well. In the sense of fighting, he killed him. As for Babalu, he's coming off that loss to Gegard Mousasi, where he got dominated and stopped in the first round. This fight, I give the edge to Babalu in 2 ways. The bigger fighter, he's not a small light heavyweight, but he's got a few extra pounds where he could shed. Lawler, moving up to 195, I don't know. He's not the biggest middleweight, you know what I'm saying? So I think Babalu's going to have a size advantage, and I think Babalu has a stylistic advantage. Obviously, if the fight remains on its feet, Robbie Lawler's got a huge advantage there, but Babalu's got the better wrestling and the much better ground game. Robbie Lawler in his second to last fight got guillotined by Jake Shields in no time. Not saying that's going to happen here. That was like more of a standing guillotine. But I think if Babalu can, I do think he can get him to the ground. I think once he gets him there, he can hustle him on the ground. Robbie Lawler, he's not a complete he's not a white belt. He can survive on the ground, but I don't know. I just think, like I said, with size, strength, and stylistic advantage, I favor Babalu. Obviously, Robbie can get a knockout, but I'm going to go with Babalu by submission. All right, next night, Thursday, you got Bellator 22. Only fight I'm going to talk about is the only one of significance on the card. Dan Hornbuckle against Ben Askren. You got this is fighting for the winner of this gets a shot at the title, the welterweight title. Bellator's champion Lyman Good. Ben Askren, awesome college wrestler. He's looked he's looked all right in the tournament so far. With the wins over Ryan Thomas and whatnot. Dan Hornbuckle's looked a lot more impressive with the submission victories on his first 2 fights. Ben Askren's a better wrestler of the 2, but he's just not that good of a well-rounded mixed martial artist. He's got some pretty good jiu-jitsu. He's been training jiu-jitsu for a while. Stand-up, pretty much non-existent. He just really hasn't been pushed or tested yet. And Dan Hornbuckle should be the guy to do that. So I think it's going to be I think Askren could probably dominate early on with the superior wrestling, but I think eventually Hornbuckle's veteran experience is going to help him get a win, either by submission or by strikes. I think if it goes to a decision, I'd favor Askren because he probably just hold top control and stuff and hustle Hornbuckle from the top position. But I think Hornbuckle's going to be able to catch him with a sub or something on the feet. So I'm going to go Dan Hornbuckle by stoppage in the 3rd round. And what should be a pretty competitive fight, though. Next up, we got the Ultimate Fighter 11 finale going down on Saturday night. Only going to touch up on 4 fights. First fight, Spencer Fisher against Dennis Seaver, opening the telecast. Spencer Fisher by decision. Should be a good little scrap, though, but I think Spencer will pull it out. I think he's a little more better on the feet. Aaron Simpson, Chris Lieben. Aaron Simpson, much better wrestler. He's going to take Chris Lieben down, work him over on the ground, and control him there. Probably looks similar to Chris Lieben's fight against Jake Rochelle. Matt Hamill, Keith Jardine. This is a good fight, competitive fight, kind of a good stylistic matchup. Hamill being the wrestler, Jardine the much better striker of the 2. Jardine, if he works his leg kicks like he usually does, he should have an advantage, but if he can kind of employ the same game plan that Rich Franklin did against Matt Hamill, but Matt Hamill, much better wrestler here. Will he be able to get takedowns for 3 rounds, control Jardine from the top? I don't know. It's hard to say. Man, this is a close fight. It's really hard for me to predict, in all honesty. I don't see a strong favorite. Obviously, I can see Jardine chopping Hamill's legs, away and kind of en route to a decision. But I could also see Matt Hamill taking Jardine down over and over and getting a decision there as well, as far as mixing in some of his punches. Matt Hamill's technique, standing, punching is horrible, but he's got good power in his strikes. At the end of the night, I'm going to go with Keith Jardine by decision because I think he has more ways to win this fight. But it should be a close fight. Neither guy can win. For the winner, or for the title of Ultimate Fighter Season 11 winner, Court McGee against Chris McCray. Should be a good fight. McCray's a better wrestler. McGee's probably better everywhere else. I'm going to favor Court McGee. I just think he's a much better wrestler or a much better fighter everywhere else. McCray can get takedowns, but McGee's been taken down before, and he showed he can get back up. Showed to have the better stamina. Although in the season, Chris McCray had 5 fights in 6 weeks. That's going to wear anyone down physically. But I don't know. McCray, his stand-up is really lacking, man. He's really lacking technique. If Matt Hamill has bad technique, Chris McCray is even further behind him so far in his development. But I just think Court McGee's a lot more ready for this spot. Not to discredit Chris McCray, I just don't think he's that good of a fighter just yet. Give him time. So I'm going to go with Court McGee to win this fight by decision. All right. WEC 49 going down on Sunday. I'm only going to touch up on 4 fights on the televised portion of the card. First up, Chris Horodecki against Ed 9mm Ratcliffe. Should be the fight of the night. Maybe the fight of the week. Both guys like to stand and trade. Got flashy stand-up. But I think Ed 9mm's stand-up is a little bit more power behind it. A little more diverse. And I think the fight's going to stay standing. And I just think Chris is coming off that devastating loss to Anthony Njokuani where he got laid out. Ed's coming off a pretty solid loss to Donald Cerrone, the Cowboy. But I just think that Ed 9mm Ratcliffe has a little bit more to offer on the feet. Should be a good fight, though, man. Like I'm saying, this should be the fight of that night. And this is the fight I'm looking most forward to in the entire week. Mark Hominick, Yves Jobin. Pretty even fight. Hominick's got way more experience. But I'm going to go with the youngster, Yves Jobin. He gave Rafael Sunsao a tough fight in his last fight. Hominick's looked good lately, but he's very inconsistent. I just think Yves Jobin, fresher fighter, looked good in that Sunsao loss. Could go either way. That could happen with any fight, but I'm going to go Yves Jobin would win this fight by decision. But don't be surprised if Hominick wins. I believe he's the favorite for good reason. Josh Grisby against LC Davis in the co-main event of the night. Josh Grisby, good young up-and-coming fighter. LC Davis looked good in his last win over Davidius Tarvicius. Out-wrestled him. LC Davis should have a huge wrestling advantage here, but Josh Grisby, I think, is better everywhere else. Josh Grisby is just a guy on the rise. He seems to be on a meteoric rise. Just a young fighter that's one of these guys coming in for the new generation that's been training MMA and just looks to be the future of what the sport has. And I think he's got the, aside from not having a stylistic advantage, LC Davis, he's got a wrestling advantage, but he seems to tire late. Grisby's a younger guy, got way more well-rounded skills. He can hang on the ground. He's got good submissions. So I don't think LC Davis is going to get submitted, but I do think Josh Grisby is going to win this fight by decision just by having being more active on the ground from the bottom and getting the better of it on the feet. Main event, we got Jamie Varner, the former WEC lightweight champion, against Kamol Chalarus. Now, Jamie's coming off where he lost the title to Ben Henderson, got submitted in the 3rd round with the guillotine, complained afterwards, said, I came to fight, he came to grapple. Whatever, dude. Jamie Varner, I don't dislike any fighters personally, but if there was one fighter that I just kind of have a disdain for the way he acts, his behavior, it's definitely Jamie Varner, man. Quit making excuses. Just say the better man won that day. I'd like a rematch in the future. Move on, just move on. Anyways, Kamol Chalarus, he hasn't been in the WC that long. He's got a good wrestling background, international wrestling, different from Jamie Varner who has college wrestling. They have different wrestling styles. But Chalarus, his technique on the feet is not too good just yet. Jamie Varner is the much better boxer, got much better kicks, probably better on the submissions as well. I would give Chalarus the edge in wrestling, although they have different styles. I think Chalarus probably has a edge in wrestling, but he hasn't really used his wrestling to his advantage just yet in the WEC, where Varner does use his wrestling when he needs it. I don't know how big of a wrestling is going to play a factor in this. I think it's going to kind of cancel each other's out, their styles. And I just think Jamie Varner is going to pick him apart on the feet with the much better punches and kicks. It'll probably go to a decision because Chalarus is tough. I mean, the guy seems like a pretty damn tough, solid fighter. But I definitely think Jamie Varner is going to get the better of it throughout all 3 rounds. I don't think he's going to get caught in any submissions here, and I definitely don't think he's going to get outstruck. And even if he gets put on his back, I think he'll be able to get up relatively quickly. So Even though I'm not the biggest fan, I'm going Jamie Varner to win this fight by decision. Okay, that's it. I finished it somehow. Check me out on Twitter if you're interested. Link in the information bar as always. Let me know which events you're looking forward to, which fight you're looking forward to the most. And, you know, I'll probably be back on Sunday or Monday to talk about all these fights or which one stood out to me the most. But until then, guys, I'm out.